United Earth Fund's new 5-year mission is to establish, fund, and operate a national student university news network, a network of independent but affiliated student-run news cells that go where no journalism and wildlife rescue has gone before. Today, we have the opportunity to do something unprecedented to support life and advance a plan and operation to support people who believe that life is sacred and stop the destruction of nature. United Earth Fund's initiative to put up a national and then international network of independent affiliated student news cells will allow student voices to be heard while reporting on uncovered stories that affect our future. With student power, a sustainable, uncensored native voice free from politics and profit interests will be given a permanent place for all to share. A group of dignitaries, concerned citizens, and volunteers gathered on the banks of the Detroit River to board the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Bramble. The group included several state and U.S. congressmen, an admiral, scores of civic and corporate leaders, a United States senator, and a flock of journalists, environmentalists, naturalists, and others involved in improving the health of the river to assure the well-being of plants and wildlife that depend on it for their existence. As the ship slowly made its way upriver, the group had the opportunity to discuss vital environmental issues and exchange ideas. The object of all this activity centered on a small, uninhabited island, affectionately known as Mud Island. The island was being donated to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service by the National Steel Corporation and will serve as a vitally needed wildlife sanctuary. When the cutter reached its appointed destination just off the tip of the island, the formal presentations began. With Detroit navigator John Hardig acting as MC, John Machuzak, President and Chief Operating Officer for National Steel, was introduced as the first speaker.
Thank you very much for that kind introduction. Today, National Steel is very pleased to donate Mud Island to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. I believe the gift of this beautiful green island to the American people has a large significance. This exchange comes at a time when there is a great focus on the rebirth of the Detroit River. To the north of us, that spirit will be seen in a few weeks from now when the city of Detroit celebrates its 300th birthday. Mud Island lies within one of the United States' most significant staging areas of migratory birds and fish. The island has become a haven for wildlife, trees, and birds. It is our intent that the donation of this island will benefit and protect migratory birds, fish, and wildlife forever.
At the conclusion of his remarks, Mr. Machuzak presented an enlarged copy of the deed to Mud Island to Bill Hartwig, Regional Director, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Great Lakes Big River Region. Next, Mr. Hartwig explained the current and future significance of this donation to an attentive audience.
Let me just tell you that this is a big event today, but this is merely a small step in a larger event, which we've all talked a little bit about, and that is the huge partnership that's going on this Detroit River. Didn't start yesterday, didn't start 5 or 10 years ago. It's been going on for a long time. The important thing is you've got over 50 different organizations and individuals that are working extremely hard, shoulder to shoulder, to make sure this river is something that everyone on the shore wants to turn around and look at and get into and recreate and enjoy the wildlife. Bring it back. We've talked about how much wildlife is here. You just wait and see how much will be here in another 10 or 15 years when we restore the water quality even more. I say this is a part of something that's big today. It's a part of something really big. You are part of the National Wildlife Refuge System. That's larger than the National Park System.
At this point, U.S. Congressman John D. Dingell, a driving political force behind much of the legislation that's improving conditions on the Detroit River, took the podium.
We have made great progress. The river is now clean. I can remember when the Fed fellow who ran the Wyandotte water system, my friend George Hasey, used to complain that he was forced to run a waste treatment system and not a water collection system. I want to say this will be one of a string of jewels which we will have going up and down the Detroit River on this side and hopefully on the Canadian side, and to observe something else which is important. This is a wonderful river. It's a great treasure. It has a magnificent history. It divides the United States and Canada. But I think, as Susan Whalen would tell you, more importantly, it unites us, and it gives us something to love and cherish and to lend quality to our life.
Congressman Dingell then introduced U.S. Senator Debbie Stabanow.
Well, I want to lend my congratulations to everyone, particularly to this gentleman. Will you join me one more time, Congressman John Dingell, for all that he has done. I bring greetings and congratulations from our senior Senator Carl Levin, and as well as myself. The two of us, as John indicated, are introducing his legislation in the Senate. We look forward to working with all of you to pass that as quickly as possible. To National Steel, thank you. This is just terrific. And to all my friends, both at U.S. Fish and Wildlife and EPA and the other agencies here, I feel like today it really is possible to say, I'm from the federal government and I'm here to help you. There's a lot more to do, and let me just say, on behalf of all of us who love the Detroit River and the Great Lakes and have grown up here as a lifelong Michiganian, now is the time for us to focus on our Great Lakes. I'm very proud to be focused on that in the Senate through our Great Lakes Initiative. The important work that Congressman Dingell is doing here with the Detroit River can only be enhanced as we look at all of our Great Lakes and all of our water. This is part of who we are as Michigan. This is our families, our economy, our recreation, tourism, and it's important to seize the opportunity now to truly move forward and protect this great natural resource. Thank you.
As the ceremony concluded, all of the speakers and other dignitaries involved with the transfer of ownership of Mud Island, including Peter Stroh, former CEO of Stroh Companies and current chairman of the Greater Detroit American Heritage River Initiative, Leonard Sabuda, mayor of Wyandotte, and member of Canadian Parliament Susan Whalen, posed for a group photo with the deed. On the return trip, TELUS News Networks was able to record some pertinent comments from many of the participants.
We consider ourselves good neighbors in the community where we have our operations and facilities, and the beautification of the Detroit River and the down-river communities here. We thought it was very appropriate to make this donation. In the past, we had offers for people to buy the island from us for various development activities, including marinas and or possibly some type of high-rise buildings. We didn't think that was appropriate, but when this idea was put forth, everybody became very enthusiastic about it, especially myself. So.
Here today to celebrate National Steel Corporation donating Mud Island to the Wyandotte National Wildlife Refuge. Mud Island has a long history. It was well known during the Prohibition days as a place where they brought in alcohol and distributed it along the Detroit River shoreline. Today it has huge wildlife value. The upland portion of the island is about 19 acres, and there's about 18 acres of submerged bottomlands that have huge habitat value, a critical staging area for waterfowl. It's a wonderful addition to our International Wildlife Refuge. It's a wonderful addition to improving our quality of life downriver and to protecting the recreational economy that supports downriver. Back in the early 1960s, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers took dredged materials from the Trenton Channel, the scoured portion of the river that was very clean, and built up Mud Island to stabilize it. So it is a relatively clean island that has wonderful habitat value for the river.
First, let me thank National Steel. This is a wonderful donation, and this is very important to southeastern Michigan because it allows us to strengthen the National Wildlife Refuge, and it's part of protecting the Detroit River and the Great Lakes. We are focusing on our water, focusing on making sure that we're protecting it for fish and wildlife and boating and tourism and all of the other wonderful uses in the Detroit River, and so it's a very good day.
We have legislation that has been introduced by Congressman John Dingell and in the Senate by Carl Levin and I that would specifically designate the Detroit River as a National Wildlife Refuge. We already have the refuge here through Wyandotte, but we want to expand it throughout the Detroit River. It's important legislation in the House and the Senate. We welcome people's support. We hope we can get it passed as quickly as possible so that we truly can protect this entire natural resource.
This is a wonderful river. It's been a highway. It's been a source of water for industry and residents. It's been a source of opportunity for hunters and fishermen. It's been a habitat for fish and wildlife and birds. It's been a wonderful place. It's been much abused. This is a part of an effort between the United States, Canada, and between all of the communities and industries up and down the river to begin further steps to improve the quality of life and the environment of our people. This is a gift of a very important piece of land which will become one of a string of jewels going up and down the river, which will be dedicated to improving the quality of life, to protecting fish and wildlife and improving their habitat, and indeed to contributing to the overall enjoyment and the improvement of quality of life of our people in the downriver.
The significance of adding Mud Island to Wyandotte National Wildlife Refuge is it's a start of expansion of a refuge that's very close to people. It's within an urban area. Most importantly is that this is a refuge that the public, the local public wants us to establish for wildlife, for fish and wildlife for all times. Wyandotte National Wildlife Refuge was established in 1961, and so we've had a very slow acquisition program. The initial 304 acres were transferred from the Coast Guard in 1961, and here we are 40 years later with the second piece. Mud Island is part of Wyandotte National Wildlife Refuge, and Wyandotte National Wildlife Refuge is part of the National Wildlife Refuge System. It's a system of lands, 93 million acres in size, over 540 units within the United States. This system is almost 100 years old. It'll be 100 years old in 2003, so we're just on the precipice of our centennial. Every state has National Wildlife Refuges, and so Detroit, with Wyandotte National Wildlife Refuge and nearby Shiawassee National Wildlife Refuge, is a part of something much bigger, part of something that is the largest system of lands dedicated for the fish and the wildlife and the people that enjoy them in the world.
A great day to be out here with all our fellow partners, I would say, on the Detroit River. If there's something to do with the water, the Coast Guard has a significant portion of it, but so does Fish and Wildlife and everybody else. And the fact that we're all getting together for events like this helps maintain the water quality and really, for the future generations, the natural heritage of this particular region. And so although today might not have been our event, i.e. a Coast Guard event, it's an event for the waterways users, recreational people as well as professionals, and it just serves America well, and that's why we're glad to be a part of it.
To conclude the celebration, the Bramble sailed close to the wild and beautiful Mud Island, enabling all on board to get a good look at the new sanctuary, which is a tangible result of much hard work, vision, and dedication. Mud Island's conversion to public lands is one of the first steps in a master plan designed to preserve and protect unique habitats for wildlife that benefit and enhance our quality of life.